Okay, the big news is that January 23rd is going to be the date for the premiere of Star Trek Picard. And we'll talk about more of it after this. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and a lot of information comes out of New York Comic Con as a Saturday midday panel features Michael Chabon and Kurtzman and some of the cast members of Picard to talk about what this show is going to be about in a little more detail than we've seen before, and including a video that was premiered there that is a new teaser, a new trailer, if you will, for the series. The trailer, by the way, is linked below, and we'll talk about it in a moment. Originally, they say they were working on short treks, and someone said, wouldn't it be interesting to see what happened to Jean-Luc Picard in the intervening years, and we could do a short trek on him. And originally, he said, no, I'm not interested in anything like that. They said, what about a full series? Would it be interesting to do a full series about what's happened to you in the last 20 years? And he said, no, not really, but, maybe give me some information on what you're thinking about. And that caused a 35-page treatment to be written and sent to him, and that signed him. Now, we don't know exactly what it said in the treatment, but very soon afterwards, Patrick Stewart was there in the writer's room helping them fill in all of the years and writing the backstory for all of what's happened to Picard in the years since the last movie and up to the present time. So there's been as much time that's passed by as it has been for us since we've last seen him. So we don't have to wear any de-aging makeup and none of this going on. He also was very adamant that he did not want this to be a TNG reunion show. He said that he wanted to be, the character would have to be something different because he said, I'm a different person than I was 20 years ago. Therefore, Picard needs to have grown as well and needs to have different things happen to him. And his age needs to work into this, and progress needs to work into this, and a change in politics has to work into this. So with Patrick Stewart's guidance, they put together this treatment and eventually made it into a show. What they decided was that it was going to be based on basically the destruction of Romulus that happened in the first reboot film of Star Trek and what happened in the Prime Universe as a result. And we know from previous trailers for this that Picard led some kind of rescue mission and then left Starfleet. We still don't know why he did that. We know that he left Starfleet as an admiral, and there's some hint of that in the current trailer. Also, they're going to talk about immigration, something that is in our own headlines, and they wanted to do a treatment of that from the Trek viewpoint. So in the trailer, they start out with Data. Data is painting a portrait of a woman in a white veil and near a stormy sea. It's about half painted. And he's in a Starfleet uniform, and so is Picard, who walks up to him and says, what are you painting? And he says, would you like to finish it, Captain? And he said, I don't know how. And he says, I think you do. And then you have a smash cut to Romulan ships firing on a farm. And then he wakes up. It's a dream. And, his dog, number one, comes to see that he's okay. Then it cuts back to Picard walking through his vineyard with his own voice over saying, I came here to find safety, but one is never safe from the past. So there's something in his past that he's dealing with, and that is something that is going to play into the plot of the story. We show Daj comes into the vineyard asking for help. We don't get any identity of who or what she is or how she knows Picard or how Picard would want to help her, but in fact he does. He goes to Starfleet headquarters. It's established now that it's Starfleet headquarters that he goes to, and he checks in at the desk and is rather patronized by the guy behind the desk, and we see him talking to the Admiral. And he's standing up and banging the desk and very, very emphatic, saying, this is what Starfleet, this is what we are about. And she says, there is no we. He says, I am representing Federation values. The Admiral says, this is no longer your house, Jean-Luc. Go home. So we show Dahj walking through the rain as we saw in the previous trailer. Then Picard sitting outside on the patio of his own home with someone who looks kind of like a Bajoran, a friend, obviously, and they're talking over drinks. And the friend says, you sure you want to go out and do that? And he said, more than anything in my life. So Picard meets with Raffi. He knows her from something before, and the way she greets him is another top secret unauthorized rescue mission. And apparently that is. They cut to his meeting with the doctor, played by Alison Pill, who apparently is into robotics. They show androids, a bunch of them. They show her laboratory, which is rather large, and then the indication that she is going with him for whatever reason. We'll find out, I suppose. Then we see Narek, who is a Romulan, who is his bodyguard, kind of. He needs protection. And Chris Rios, who is the captain of the ship that's going to take him where he needs to go. A quick shot of the Borg cube, not as long as we saw in the previous trailer. Then we see Seven in tears hugging someone who's barely able to stand, it would seem. It could be Hugh. And then we see a fight in space, a phaser fight, and also a sword fight. Picard challenging someone with a sword. So that should be interesting. And then a quick cut to 7 of 9, who says, I help people who have nowhere else to turn. So we go from there to the inside of a farmhouse where Riker in civilian clothes is washing dishes. And you hear a yell from outside. Dad. And he says, don't yell. And he says, it's Jean-Luc Picard. So we establish a couple of things here. First of all, Riker has a child. I don't know if it's a son or daughter, but certainly that voice is heard. They meet. Also, it shows that Deanna is there. So obviously Riker and Deanna are still married and living on a farm somewhere. And both greet Picard warmly. And then they have Picard and Riker sitting on a fishing pier and chatting with each other. And Picard thanks him for not trying to talk him out of it. Riker says, believe me, I know better. So that's what we know right now. And all it does is make me want to see this show even more. I want to know what you think about it. So why not go into the comments and let me know. Next time, and in fact, I went to the movies today. This came out later than I would have hoped for because I went to the movies today thinking it wasn't going to be great big news. But I did see Ad Astra, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the next video, other news permitting. But until then, don't go far.